Hello, True Health Seeker, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Learn True Health podcast. I am thrilled to bring back to the show Cherie Calbom, who is the leading expert in juicing. I first discovered Cherie when I watched The Truth About Cancer, an amazing docu-series that uncovers the truth about what causes cancer and how you can heal it, and especially how these doctors around the world are healing it naturally without drugs or surgery. It's very inspirational. I highly recommend that you go to learntruehealth.com/cancer. That's learntruehealth.com/cancer. Put in your email address and you will receive next month, starting in October, they're going to be allowing people for a limited time to watch the entire docu-series for free. So I want to make sure that you gain access to that. So please go to learntruehealth.com/cancer and put in your name and email address so that you're notified when they open it up. It's going to be for a limited time at the beginning of next month that you'll be able to watch the entire docu-series for free. Cherie Calbom was on the show in episode 151. We talked all about juicing. I highly recommend you listen to that interview. Today, we uncover more about how to heal the body using food as medicine. So she does something that is very interesting. She takes juicing to a whole other level with souping and smoothies. So enjoy today's show. It's going to be a lot of fun, and please share this episode with all your friends who are interested in detoxing, cleansing, healing the body, especially if they themselves have any conditions or are suffering in any way, because Cherie introduces an amazing way to nourish the body using foods, not just juicing, but also using soups and stews to heal the body. Enjoy today's show, and please go to learntruehealth.com/cancer and sign up so that you can, for free, watch the docu-series when it comes out. Enjoy. Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is episode 174. I'm thrilled to have back on the show with us an amazing woman who is the expert in juicing. But today we're not only going to talk about that, we're going to talk about the idea that we can use soup, and what a wonderful time of year. We're coming into that fall and that winter, and we crave those delicious, nutritious soups and stews. Well, there's a way that we can formulate our soups so that we can cleanse, heal, nutrify the body, heal the digestive system. And our guest here today is going to teach us exactly what we can do to utilize all the foods we crave over the cold and damp fall and winter, those wonderful soups, so that we can heal our body. And if we want to lose weight, we lose weight. If we want to heal our thyroid, heal our digestive system, there's so many things we can do. I've been looking through your website and seeing the wonderful Watercress soup diet that you have now available. It's really exciting. Your website is juiceladycherie.com, and of course the link to that is going to be in the show notes of today's podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you back on the show.
Well, thank you, Ashley. It's so great to be here, and I'm so excited to talk about Souping is the New Juicing. That's the title of my new book that just came out, and it features the watercress soup diet. So it will be just fun to cover all of this today as we chat away about health and healing our bodies.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I mean, you've been the juice lady for so long, and there's so many benefits that we know to incorporating juicing. Now, there's this element that juicing's raw, and soup traditionally most of the time isn't raw. And so my first question would be, with juicing, we know we're getting these enzymes because it's raw. Why is souping the new juicing?
I have a lot of raw soups. And in fact, we've come up with the title souping to encompass a wide range of mixtures. And souping encompasses all the blending. There's the NutriBullet, Magic Bullet, the Vitamix, lots of different ways, high-powered type blenders that are making things that some people call juice. It really isn't juice. And so we came up with the title souping to include that, where the fiber's there and the skins and the whole thing is there. So we have raw. I have raw soups in my book, and I have blended cooked soups, and I have chunky cooked soups and gently warmed soups. So I've got a little bit of everything, but it is the raw soups that do have the enzymes. So I'm glad you brought that up. So the enzymes and the vitamins are well preserved when you do a raw blend or just a gently warmed soup. You can do as well and preserve them.
So now, can it still be raw and be warm? Can we still have that sort of nice warm feeling of a soup? Because I know that there's a certain temperature we can sort of warm things up and keep it raw and still keep the enzymes without denaturing them. Is that correct?
That is. And the temperature is 118 or below. So if you have um, a tool in your kitchen that can measure that, perfect. If you don't, kind of the standard is dip your finger in, and if it's just warm, not burning, not too hot, just warm to the touch, it's probably close to 118. And that is still considered a raw food. So dehydrated foods are considered raw when we keep the temperature 118 or below, and the same with soups or any kind of gently warmed food.
Wonderful. It sounds delicious. What led you to um want to dive into souping? What was there an aha moment that you had?
There was. It's been kind of a new concept in the last year, um, about souping, keeping everything in, not ejecting the pulp. And so I'm all for juicing, always will be the juice lady. But I have been hearing from more and more people as they've gone through my different detox programs saying, can't we add a soup? It's winter, I'm cold, I need something warming. And I started thinking about how comforting and nurturing soup is for the body. And especially in the cooler months, souping is just the ideal comfort food. I call it a steaming bowl of comfort, dish it on up for the fall and for the winter. So I'm doing more in combining the two. And even in the winter, I do my juice every day, but I'm doing more with soups and blended cold soups as well, with ginger and turmeric, and then gently warmed soups, and then the good old simmered all day in the crock pot, or on the stove, the old fashioned soups that we all remember from childhood. Maybe your grandma made them, and it brings back wonderful memories of nurturing and comfort.
Right, they call it Jewish penicillin when you have the chicken soup, right? The broth, it's like that cure all for some cultures. My husband and I have had a very powerful healing from soup. Before this, I would have not have believed that you could heal anything from soup. It's an appetizer. It's like sort of like an appetizer. It's not a full meal. I would not have taken it seriously or respected it. And when we went to our naturopath, my husband revealed that he had, and he's told me that it's safe for me to share this, but he had constipation his whole life, and he thought it was normal to go maybe 2 or 3 times a week, right? And that was his routine his whole life. And our naturopath said, "Oh no, you need to do this soup recipe, and it's going to heal your gut." And I was like rolling my eyes like, no way, the soup can't heal like that. That's ridiculous. But I really believe in naturopaths. And so we at least tried it. And so we did we got a bone broth base, and we used cabbage and lots of cabbage, lots of beets, and threw in some other vegetables just to make it taste good, like celery root. And then we blended it, so it was like a puree, and we incorporated that, made it one meal a day. So he would have like breakfast, drink the soup for lunch, have a regular dinner, or have the soup for dinner, or sip it as a snack. And he had it once a day for 7 days, and that was like about 4 years ago, and he has been regular ever since.
Wow, that is very cool.
Yeah, he's never, ever, ever had constipation after that. And all he had to do was eat it for a week. And so the healing properties are amazing. And, I could not have gotten him to sit down and physically eat that many vegetables. Like, he does not like to sit there and chew for half an hour. And so soup is like this great vehicle to get so much vegetables into us. And so I'm really excited to learn more about what you have uncovered in teaching people to do souping. So when you teach people to do souping, is this something like we're juicing, like where you drink soup all day long and that's the only thing you eat? Or do you recommend that they just switch one of their meals to soup? How does it work?
Yes. Well, there's so much to talk about here, but I'll talk about the watercress soup diet. And then I do want to talk about the colon cleansing soup, which you mentioned earlier. I have a recipe too for that. So the watercress soup diet is highly effective. And I had 55 ladies that joined my July watercress soup diet challenge. In that diet, they had two meals that were soup. One was actually you could call it a smoothie, a berry watercress smoothie or cold soup for breakfast, and then the cooked soup, the watercress soup for lunch, and you could have as much soup as you wanted. Very few people had more than one bowl. Watercress soup, at least the recipe I have, takes away your appetite. It's amazing. My husband and I would each eat a bowl of that and just look at each other and say, we don't want anything else to eat. It was amazing. But there were a few people who were still hungry, so you can have as much soup as you want. And then dinner was a healthy, low carb dinner, so you omit all the starches for your dinner. So no breads, potatoes, yams, corn, peas, anything starchy is gone from your dinners, but you have vegetables in all their forms except starch and protein. Any kind of protein. If you're vegan, then it would be organic tofu, or if you're not, then fish, chicken, turkey, lamb, beef, whatever you want in all different ways. So from grilled salmon over a salad to a chicken stir fry to a grilled steak with salad and steamed vegetables. So there were a lot of choices for people for dinner, or if they wanted to switch it out, have soup for dinner and the main course meal for noon. And people lost weight. We had an average of 7 pounds weight loss in 3 weeks. That was the length of my study. But our top loser, biggest loser, Sylvia, lost 19 pounds. She was featured in Women's World magazine along with Michelle. They did a story, by the way, calling it the Thyroid Detox soup diet. And it was also the watercress soup diet. And Michelle lost 24 pounds and 28 inches. That was another phenomenon I saw with this program. That people lost more inches than weight in comparison.
And that's the inflammation.
Yes. So they were losing water, lots of water. We got rid of all the inflammatory foods were gone from this diet. No sweets, no dairy, no grains, and no junk food. And no sports drinks, nothing highly acidic. So it was just pure, clean food, and mostly people were buying organic. So they were losing on average lots of, well, I forget what the average was for inches, but the average for weight loss was about 2.5 pounds a week. And then April, who was pictured in Women's World magazine regarding this diet, lost a little over 7 pounds and healed her thyroid. And that's something I really want to talk about in concern with watercress. The watercress soup diet is extremely healing for thyroid, and thyroid issues are becoming very big today. I believe it's because of all the halogens in our environment, our diet, the bromine, chlorine, and fluoride or fluorine is just abundant. And Iodine is also a halogen. It's in the same family with those three that I just named. But when our diet is low in iodine and high our intake of those, and like bromelain or bromine is in breads and bakery goods, it's in some sports drinks. It's in, of course, swimming pool and jacuzzi treatments. Chlorine, we know about it's in our water, and we shower with it and our skin absorbs it. And fluorine, same way, many cities have it in their water, and we drink it, we absorb it through our skin, and in all sorts of manufacturing. The list is just ongoing as to all the places that we encounter it. So our bodies are overwhelmed with those three halogens, and typically people in our society are very deficient in iodine. Our soil is low in it, and people don't have much of it in their diet. Well, along comes watercress. It's one of the highest vegetables in iodine. And so if we have enough iodine in our diet, then the other three halogens I just named, won't replace it in our thyroid. And the thyroid needs a lot, an abundance of iodine. So when we start getting more iodine in our diet, like with watercress juices, smoothies, and soups, we get all that iodine, and it starts feeding our thyroid, and the thyroid starts getting healthy. It kicks into gear and picks up. And like April said, she did not want to go on medication for her thyroid. She was diagnosed as borderline hypothyroid and did not want the medication, and had searched and searched for what she could do. She didn't have the energy really to work out, and she couldn't lose weight no matter what she tried. Got on this diet, and she said she was so excited every morning to jump on the scale and see how much she had lost, because it was working for her and getting her thyroid kicked into gear, where she said nothing else, no other diet on the face of the earth had worked for her. Sylvia said that too, who lost 19 pounds. No other diet in the face of the earth had worked. She was about ready to go on medication because her doctor said she had to get the weight off. And most of the 55 ladies in my study said the same thing. Nothing had worked for them until they got on the watercress soup diet, and then bingo, the weight just started falling off with ease.
Mm. What made you think about creating using watercress as the base? Were you looking to reverse engineer the problem that people are having with their thyroid? Was there an aha moment you had where you said, I'm gonna try taking watercress and making a soup out of it, and seeing how that heals the body?
Well, it all started with a product that I have. It's my product, Garden's Best Superfood Juice Powder, and the base of it is watercress. And I wanted to know more about watercress. Excuse me, I just had to take a little sip of water. Speaking of watercress. So I started researching watercress. The formulator who helped us put this product together had suggested watercress as being kind of the base of this. It's a wonderful perennial plant. And so in my research of what does watercress do for you, I started discovering all these studies. Most of them were done in the UK, not in the US. And I ran across first the watercress weight loss diet study from the UK, and that was a 6-week weight loss diet challenge, and the people lost about the same amount of weight that the people in my study lost. And then I found the anti-aging watercress study diet. They called it the instant facelift diet, and found that watercress in the UK study really affected how the skin looked, and people got rid of wrinkles, and their faces started lifting a bit, and they started looking younger. And so that was an interesting study for me, and the same results were confirmed in my study. In the exit survey that we sent people, that was one of the top things that people checked, that they noticed. I also found a study on watercress and thyroid, and that was kind of an aha. And there were several studies that I looked at. One was looking at watercress as being one of the top vegetables rich in iodine, as I just talked about. And I also found Watercress study regarding workout and how it helped people in their workout improve many factors of benefit from working out. And so and then I found cancer, also cancer healing and cancer prevention. And there are several studies around watercress and cancer prevention and healing. So all of that made me very excited about watercress. And as I was writing my book, I thought, I want to get this into my book. So I started looking for ideas for what is the best watercress soup I could find. And I found on some little small site, somebody had added almond butter to their watercress soup. And I tried it, blended it up. I like it pureed. I like soups pureed because they're creamy without the cream. And I have a whole section on how to create cream soups, by the way, without the cream. But I added that almond butter in and some lemon juice. And I'll tell you, it makes the most delicious watercress soup. So you've got to get my book, Souping is the New Juicing, because the recipe is there. And so then I talked with Women's World. I've worked with them on a number of cover stories in the past. And my editor said, well, we need success stories. So I said, all right, I'm going to run a challenge group, see what kind of, excuse me, results I can get. And that's when it just surprised the daylights out of me, what kind of really wonderful results I got from the watercress soup diet.
Very cool. Now, listeners will definitely forgive you for clearing your throat because you are right now in the smoke. All the Pacific Northwest is experiencing many, many wildfires, and all the smoke seem to reach your location right now. So I applaud you for spending an hour or so talking when you have to also battle the smoke. And so thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Watercress, my first real, where I really heard about it was this idea that Hippocrates, when he founded the first hospital in 400 BC on the island of Kos, grew wild watercress in the natural springs and used it to treat blood illnesses. Whether the accuracy of that is true or not, this is sort of a story that has been passed down and led people to wonder all about the power of watercress. Have you heard of that story?
I have. And in fact, it's in several places that I've read it. And I read that Hippocrates built his clinic by a stream, said that he could grow watercress and use it to treat his patients. I found that so very interesting. And there's one more study I want to mention here, and that is a study around the top superfoods, or the foods that are richest in nutrients and full complements of nutrients. Watercress got a score of 100, a perfect score, and it beat out things like kale and chard. They're right up there at the top, and spinach, that we look at those greens as some of our top superfoods, and it beat everything out with a perfect score. So I can see why Hippocrates would want to plant watercress and use it for healing his patients. And I think that watercress should be part of every treatment plan, really. I think it's that powerful a food.
Now, you say that it's a food that, and we could almost consider it like something a cross between an herb and a vegetable, like wild lettuce, right? Because it has these medicinal healing properties. It acts a lot like an herb, but you can consume it like a vegetable. With watercress, in that you say that it is full of nutrients, it's really only as nutrient dense as the soil it comes from. So how do we source the healthiest type of watercress? Because if it's grown in soil that's deplete, then it's not going to contain us all the nutrients that we want to receive. Like you said, our soil is depleted of iodine. So do you get watercress from overseas, or how do you make sure that you're getting the best quality watercress possible?
I buy organic watercress and I buy US watercress. A lot of it now is grown hydroponically. And if it's organic and they're using organic uh, nutrients to feed it, then it's going to be very rich in nutrients. I would judge from the kind of results that I felt in
Mm.
my body, and my husband as well. And the fact that we just weren't hungry after we ate a bowl of watercress soup, I thought something's going on here. It's got to be rich in the nutrients that it's supposed to have. So get organic, look for organic, and I can tell you where to look for the best price. Trader Joe's has organic watercress for the best price I found in my area, and a lot of my ladies saw across the U.S. And they came from all parts of the country, the Northeast and the South and the Northwest and Middle America and the South and Southwest. Everybody was chiming in on where to get the best watercress and prices. And so Trader Joe's was up there, and Whole Foods had it as well. So you can find it.
It's interesting that you say hydroponically because another controversy around, I wouldn't say controversy, but an issue with watercress is that if you don't get it sourced from a clean source, it is a way to get liver parasites. Back when I was studying liver parasites, it's like not America, but in other countries, that's often consuming raw watercress was the way in which you could get a liver parasite. And so what you're saying is when we buy it from the US and we buy it organic, it's grown hydroponically. And so therefore there's you can safely eat it raw. There's be no concern about parasites.
Yes, yes, and that's what I'm looking for, hydroponically grown, organically grown, and I read that as well. So if you're getting watercress and it's not been grown in clean waters, there is definitely a chance of getting those parasites. And having been a person who's battled parasites for a lot of my life, feeling like I'm getting on top of that battle these days, I don't want any back again. And so it's really important to look at the source of our food, where it comes from. And I think this is one food that we should buy organic.
Wonderful. Well, we have a Facebook group, Learn True Health, has a Facebook group for all the listeners. And I asked if anyone had any questions for you. And I did get two questions that, although it was more juicing related, I think you could probably string them in to our conversation today. One of them is from a listener who's been battling and on the other side of cancer, but she wants to, stay that way. And she says that she's receiving so much conflicting information about whether to blend or juice in her situation, given that she's still doing some treatments for cancer, but wants to, stay as healthy as possible, prevent and maybe kill any cancer cells that are still remaining. So using her food as medicine, she says, is it better to blend because she needs the fiber, or is juicing better for absorption? For those who either want to prevent or want to beat cancer, what do you recommend? Do you recommend they do all three? They do juicing and souping and smoothies, or what's the best way to ensure we're getting all the nutrients we need?
Oh, you just nailed it. All three, definitely. And that's what I do in my own life. I don't have cancer, but I do this, and it's what I recommend for other people. Juicing, there is nothing to compare with a clear glass of fresh juice, organic juice. It is going to go into your system faster than anything else. It's got no fiber to slow it down, but that's why you don't want fruit juice. You want vegetable juice and you want greens. So there's nothing to compare. So I always say to people with cancer, have several glasses of vegetable juice per day. That's really, really important for you. And also do blended raw soups. That will give you some substance, some fiber. It's filling, especially if you're doing some kind of a cleanse, if you're on a juice fast. A drink or two that has everything in it is sustaining. And then a bowl of comforting hot soup. I think, comforting our soul and body is extremely important. And there are some very, very healing soups with turmeric. That's very important for cancer. Ginger as well. And I would get in watercress because I can tell you there are quite a few studies, both US and UK studies on healing cancer with watercress, proven. So I would definitely get on watercress soup for the healing of cancer. Combine it all, and you've got a powerful, powerful program to healing cancer or keeping it from coming back. I'm so thrilled that your audience member wants to keep this cancer from coming back and do what she can, because so many people never think about that, never ask about that. Why did I get cancer in the first place? And what can I do to keep it from returning? Those are key questions, because otherwise in a few years, it may come back because you're in the same lifestyle or you never got rid of the toxins that caused it in the first place.
Absolutely. And for those who, even another listener who's been juicing in the last few months, and she is still learning the ropes and wants to know what's the most nutritious greens for juicing, I have a feeling you're going to say add watercress to her protocol.
Oh, definitely I am. And the most nutritious are the greens, in addition to our lovely watercress, which, by the way, is a cruciferous vegetable. I found that interesting, but it's a good one for the thyroid. You don't have to limit it. Chard and kale, collard greens, spinach, parsley, cilantro. I love cucumber and zucchini. Those give you lots of juice. Get your greens in there. They're just packed with nutrients, all those minerals, the magnesium we need, and then add in some flavors. I love ginger because it gives great flavor, that little spicy kick to your juice, but it's doing so much good. It's amazing, amazing spice to add in. And turmeric, cancer fighter, disease fighter, wonderful anti-inflammatory, as is ginger root, both proven anti-inflammatories. Add in some lemon or lime juice. That gives some nice flavor to your juice. And then if you wanted a little sweetness, add in some apple. Green apple is lowest in sugar. Apples, make sure that you're getting organic. They are always on the Dirty Dozen list. Year after year, they may not be number one. For years, they were number one. Now they've been usurped by strawberries. But apples and berries are your lowest sugar fruit. And so you could add in some berries or a little bit of apple if you want some sweetness, but keep your sugar low and don't juice up those high sugar fruits, because you'll just get a whammy of sugar coming into your system and spike up your blood sugar. And that is not good, because it spikes and then it dips, and that is not a good thing. You might want to add in a little bit of carrot for beta carotene. Some people can do that. Some people can't. If you've got diabetes or other blood sugar challenges, carrot may be a little high in sugar, and you might have to really cut back to maybe just one carrot. Beet is another one that's very high in sugar. It's the other high sugar vegetable. So oftentimes people need to watch how much beet they use, and maybe they can't combine it with carrot or a fruit. But most people can, and beet is very liver cleansing and wonderful to purge the body of toxins. So I love to add beet in a little bit.
All those things you mentioned, like for juicing, my mouth was watering because I was also thinking that all those ingredients would make great soups.
Oh, they do. Fabulous soup. I had a couple of weeks ago the best raw beet soup. It was just out of this world. And I'm trying now to develop the recipe to figure out what was in it.
I was going to say, what makes a raw beet soup so good? But I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
Yes, yes. Well, I think there were some aminos in there. It might have been Bragg's liquid aminos, or I love coconut aminos. They're just a little bit sweeter in their flavor. And I bet you there was some shallot. I don't know. I've got to play around with them. Probably a little avocado to thicken it up. But this is the time to really enjoy those wonderful detox soups. And I've got so many of them in my book. I've got a beet soup, a borscht. with lots of vegetables, and that is a wonderful detox soup. And now that it's fall and we're thinking about maybe getting rid of the toxins from all of the summer fun we had, right? The reunions and the vacations and the parties and the barbecues and all of those things. Well, it's time to flush our system now. And so souping with juicing is a fabulous way to do that. And I have colon cleansing soups, I have liver cleansing soups, kidney detox soups. I even have a lymph node detox soup that anybody who's got any kind of cancer has to do a lymphatic system and lymph node detox, because so often that is where the cancer is found, and so many people have lymph nodes removed. I hear about it all the time. People who contact me, oh, they removed so many lymph nodes, and now I've got swelling in a certain part of my body. So we want to keep our lymphatic system cleansed. It's our garbage collection system to move the toxic stuff out of our bodies, but it has no pump. It's not like your heart. Your heart has a pump. You need to do either exercise or lymphatic drainage massage, or you can do a lymph cleanse program and begin to cleanse your lymphatic system. So I recommend that. This is the perfect time of year while it's still warm. Maybe the evenings and mornings are a little cooler. It is the perfect time to do a cleanse. And if you're wanting a guided tour for your cleanse, I do 30-day detox every month. So you can always join me, sign up, and join the party for detoxing your entire body, one system at a time, from colon and liver and gallbladder and kidneys and bladder and lungs and lymphatics and skin and blood.
Very cool. And now those recipes you mentioned, like the lymph cleanse soup, is that in your book, the Watercress Soup Diet book?
Yes, it's in my book, and actually the name of the book is Souping is the New Juicing.
Ah, right.
Yeah, and it's in there. It's in the Detox with Soup chapter, and I've got the lymph node detox soup recipe, and then I've got a whole bunch of ideas for foods that help cleanse the lymph system.
Very cool. And how does that work? How do these foods? I know food is medicine. How do they cleanse the lymph system? What does it do or stimulate to the body that allows it to have that positive effect?
Well, everything that we do as far as cleansing is going to act like, I call it a broom, to sweep out that particular part of your body. And so these are particular foods that help to stimulate the activity of your lymphatic system and get it moving, get it going, right? And so many of the things that Americans eat are lymph system clogging. So doctors have told me before, naturopathic types of doctors, that they've looked at people's lymph and seen it was all murky and cloudy, and it's supposed to be thin and move through the body. So no wonder we're getting so many lymphatic types of cancers and cancer in the lymph nodes. So we need to get on the lymphatic soup cleanse menu plan to stimulate the lymphatic system, to move that garbage on out of our body, and that lymph can remain clean.
I love it. Most people go on some kind of diet, either like around January, they commit to a new routine, or when it starts to get warm, the warm weather starts to happen and they realize they're going to be in a bikini. So they want to get ready for the summer. So sometime in the spring, people usually commit. But then there's this third cycle in the year. And I think it's always interesting, right after Labor Day, in between Labor Day and Thanksgiving, because the motivation is, oh no, coming up in Thanksgiving in October for Canadians, in November for Americans, I'm going to be seeing the family members I only see once a year, and I want to look really good.
Yeah.
So some people are motivated to do some extra work on themselves in between now and Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We should eat for health all the time. But there is that funny fact about human nature is that there's certain goals that will motivate us to get started and to get into it. Now, you mentioned a colon cleanse, and I think it's very interesting because so many of my listeners have irritable bowel syndrome or colitis or acid reflux. Or just, general indigestion issues, gas, bloating, the constipation or diarrhea or intermittent constipation diarrhea. So many people are on medications for GERD. And it's just really, really sad. We've got so much inflammation in the gut. And then a lot of people have skin issues. So eczema, psoriasis, which we know is a direct reflection of gut health. So when we have poor gut health or depression, a lot of times can be linked to gut health. And so there's these other secondary symptoms that are coming up from, but really the root cause is inflammation and upset in the gut lining. And you have this method of helping to soothe that irritated, angry lining of the gut and help the body cleanse and heal it. What do we do? How do we begin to get our gut health back from the people who are suffering from one or more of those conditions?
Well, I loved your story about your husband and getting on the vegetable soup and all of those wonderful vegetables rich in fiber. Your cruciferous vegetables are your highest fiber content vegetables. And so soups made with those are excellent for the colon. And we do want to soothe that colon and we want to keep it moving. And so many things that we eat in our society kind of shock the colon. I heard a naturopath talk about that at one time, that it can just go into a state of kind of shock and then it doesn't move. And so many of the refined flour products and sugary things do that. So when we get on a soothing diet for the colon and get all that fiber, that wonderful vegetable fiber into our diet, we notice things really, really improving. Plus, our vegetables, especially when we have them raw in a blended soup. For example, I have the colon cleanse green soup, which is a blended soup that's rich in spinach and cabbage and some other things to really make it taste delicious. So when we have something like that, a raw soup, we get prebiotics. Those come from the vegetables, and especially when they're raw. And pre is before probiotics. So our bodies can utilize those prebiotics to make more probiotics. And we want really good probiotics for good colon health. So lots of these soups, both my raw soups, blended soups, and the cooked soups are going to be excellent for that good colon health.
Wonderful. Very cool. Do you have any testimonials out of your, the study you did where women were losing weight and losing inches? Do you have any specific testimonials of women also noticing their gut health improving?
Yes, I had several people who commented that they become more regular. And of course, when we become more regular, we lose weight faster than we would otherwise. So that it all fit together. And other things that I saw, and you mentioned it, the gut is connected to the skin. And I think it was 75 or 80. I would have to look at my statistics to get specific, but I think it was 75 to 80% of the women in my study noticed skin improvements, that their skin looked so much better. And I equate that to better gut health, among other things. So very exciting when you start doing one thing. Many benefits are seen. And you mentioned also about depression. I had one young woman in my study who had lost her job that she dearly loved and had 9 months of depression about it. And nothing she had tried was working. Different exercises, programs around that, counseling, spiritual work, nothing was really helping her get rid of that depression. And she said, who would have thought 1 week on the watercress soup diet and her depression was gone.
I
So
love it.
so exciting.
That's so, so exciting. Now, while doing the program, were they ever eating solid foods?
1 meal a day.
So one solid meal a day, and then and that, like you said, make sure it's low sugar. Um
Mhm.
so okay, got it. Do people ever feel deprived of protein? Or this is always kind of the question you probably get because you're the juicing lady, and the big concern is by all the meat eaters. Oh my God, where am I going to get my protein from? So for those who are freaking out right now, like wanting all the benefits of what you're saying, but worried they're not going to get enough protein, what do you say to them?
Well, I had nobody complain about being protein deficient in the 3 weeks because your 1 meal a day can have plenty of protein. Chicken, fish, turkey, beef, roast beef, lamb, whatever you choose, along with your vegetables in any form you choose, whether it be a soup or a stew or a stir fry or a grilled something, a chicken or salmon, for example, over a salad. So there were lots and lots of choices. I also allowed people in the morning after their smoothie, if they were still hungry or they felt a little shaky or in need of protein, to have 1 boiled egg with salt and pepper, sea salt and pepper on it. And I had a number of women who felt they needed to do that because of their jobs or just the energy expenditures of their life, or they worked out in the morning, needed to do that. So they got plenty of protein. When you do 2 meals a day, 1 raw soup or smoothie, you would call it, and 1 cooked soup, and then a meal with protein and vegetables, you're fine. And you can have your egg in there mid morning or, right after your smoothie. Everybody was fine.
Very cool. What about adding a raw egg to the smoothie instead of eating it hard boiled?
You could do that. I don't recommend raw egg white because it can bind biotin in the
Mm-hmm.
raw, but the yolk is fine. You could add the yolk in and add that to your smoothie. I had people also adding in different protein powders. A lot of people like the collagen type of protein powder. It mixes so well in the smoothie and doesn't affect the taste at all. So I had ladies doing that as well, and no one seemed to come out protein deficient in any way.
Wonderful. Now, what about healthy fats? What about the concern about being fat deficient, especially those who suffer from so many hormone issues? We're often not consuming enough healthy fats. I guess, like you said, it's a 3 week, cleanse. It's not like something long term where you could become deficient in anything. Um, but do you look to increasing healthy fats, or educating people around what they could do while they're juicing, smoothieing, and souping to make sure they're going to get enough of those healthy fats?
I think my ladies were doing that. You can always add coconut oil to your morning smoothie, your berry watercress smoothie. The onion for this watercress soup was sauteed in either olive oil or coconut oil, so there was oil in the soup. We had avocado in the morning smoothie, so more good fat. Um, and we had almond butter in the soup, so that there was more fat. And then for dinner, uh, or your main meal, wherever you choose, uh, good fats again, from salad dressing, extra virgin olive oil to stir fries done with coconut oil, but always good fat is what I recommend. And for people who, I also allowed a little bit of seeds or nuts in the afternoon, raw seeds or nuts, just a small amount if people were feeling kind of weak or shaky or just really needed a little bit of something in the afternoon. So that would even add some more good fats, especially if you had like raw walnuts. That gives you wonderful good fat, or some seeds.
Very cool. And speaking of weak or shaky, you also mentioned that watercress was amazing at balancing blood sugar. What were the kinds of results that you saw in the study that you did with? Now, how many people were in your study?
55 completed their journey. I had 120 that started, but
Uh, Is
50.
Isn't that the isn't that the truth? That's actually, I think, a great to see about a 50% of the people actually complete it, because I know so
Mhm.
many people will buy a book and then it just collects dust, and they had all the best intentions of the world, but they didn't, take that extra step to to follow through. And so the follow through is where the magic is. How many of those did you see that they were they monitoring their blood sugar? Did they, notice or have like finite results of blood sugar balancing?
I had 2 ladies that had incredible results. Patricia went from 3, I believe it was 359. It was either 359 or 369 to 116 blood sugar level. Huge drop. And that was before the 3 weeks had ended. And I had another lady that went from 240, no, 200, excuse me, down to 140 in just a few days. And then her blood sugar went on down more to very close to normal level. Both ladies were excited because they really felt if they stuck with this kind of eating, they could get off of all medication and manage their blood sugar with their diet. So after those 2 reports came in, and they came in on Facebook where I coach everybody, and after I chatted with those 2 ladies about that, I went back on my search journey and did find a study showing that watercress does lower blood sugar if it needs to be lowered. It's not going to take you too low if you're normal. But that was exciting. So watercress and the watercress soup diet is excellent for diabetics as well. And so that just leads me to another point that I'm doing a watercress. I'm going to each month do a watercress soup diet challenge, 3 weeks. So if you want to have the coaching and the teleconference call each week and the program with lots of recipes, then you can sign up for that.
Very cool. And that allows them to be part of your Facebook group as well.
Yes, they'll get on the private Facebook. And you know what? So many women said they loved being part of that because they were part of a community. And it was
Hmm.
a great, big, huge community from all across the US. But people were sharing their struggles, their joys, their excitement, their feelings of failure. And when somebody was down and felt like they'd blown it, other people rushed in and picked them back up and said, don't give up. And, I felt that way. And this happened for me. And try this. And it was just such a rewarding thing to watch. And I would chime in too. And everybody was encouraging everybody else. And so many women said, I made it through these 3 weeks because of you guys on the group. So that's where trying to tough it out on our own, like you say, the book collects dust if we don't have some encouragement oftentimes.
I love that you incorporate that community to help people have that follow through and have that support. Have you, well, since you're in communication with all these people in the Facebook group, my question next would be, have you followed up with them afterwards? Weeks and months after this their results came in, have they been able to maintain their results? What are the long-term health benefits? Like my husband, who 4 years ago did souping for 1 week,
Oh,
and still to this day has the health results that he got. um have you had any reports of people sort of like reverting back, or are people really continuing to have their health benefits from this?
well, I haven't heard from everyone, but I have heard some great stories of people continuing on. Um, Michelle is one that she to date has lost 24 pounds. When we ended the group, she had lost 12 pounds. And she's lost 28 inches, and she had lost about half that number of inches when we ended the group. And Sylvia has gone on to lose more weight. And April has maintained what she's lost. She went down a whole size in 7 pounds. And so, it's been wonderful to see those that I have heard from. And it's been very interesting because my neighbor's sister went on the program too. And she has lost like a boatload of weight and is still doing this program. And I think last time I heard from her, was over 40 some pounds. So the people that have stuck with it and continued on are continuing to lose weight. Those were the ones who needed to lose a lot more than when the group ended.
Wow, that's so cool. I love that you have incorporated a way to heal the body using food, because I think so many people, and maybe souping could be the gateway to juicing. I think so many people are afraid to do juicing because it seems so extreme to them because they're
Yes.
eating the standard American diet. But having a soup is sort of within their parameters of what could be considered normal. And so you could really take souping and do a souping 3-week, cleanse, detox, nourish the body program in a way to open them up and eliminate those foods that have been harming them. And then it just opens their mind to consider other ways of eating to nourish the body. Have you noticed that there are people who've never juiced before getting on your soup diet?
Yes, I've had quite a few people say to me, "Oh, I'm so glad you came along with this because I wouldn't juice, but I'll do soup." You know, and so it is a way to bring people into a healthier choice, lifestyle choice, and I think it's very exciting. And even if they don't end up juicing, they're doing something very good, very, very good for their body, because soup, even if you've got a simmered soup that's simmering all day long, you've got all your minerals in there. You didn't throw away anything. The peels, all the fiber is there. If you've got bones in there, you've got the bone broth. And so you've got a mineral rich base, soup base. So I'm very excited about this because I feel it's a segue to better health. And it's a segue that guys will do as well as the women. And it's something everybody seems to like. I haven't found anybody that said, "Oh, no, I don't like soup." Everybody's got some kind of soup they like, you know?
Very cool. Oh, well, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show. Is there anything else that you would like to uncover? Any myth busting that you'd like to do that we haven't already done today?
Well, I wanted to talk about chicken soup for a moment.
Oh, good.
Yeah, some people say, "Is that really true?" That it is the Jewish penicillin. And there are studies that show it really does have an antibiotic effect. So keep that in mind. When cold and flu season rolls around, and inevitably it will, either head it off. I call it head it off the pass by having some chicken soup. Make a huge batch and keep some frozen in smaller bowls. I have those glass bowls with those little snap-on tops. I got a whole bunch of them at Costco, and they're great for freezing soup. Keep some on hand so you can pull it out if you get sick, and get that soup in right away, because truly it really does work. Chicken soup is much more than just for the soul, it's for the body too, and it works. It's not just an old wives' tale.
Oh,
Oh,
very cool. Now, does it also work with beef bones, beef broth, or is there something special about chicken?
there's something special about chicken, and no one has really identified what exactly it is, but it's been proven at medical centers. Well, this one, Nebraska Medical Center, found that chicken soup had anti-inflammatory characteristics that prevent cold symptoms or help to heal the cold symptoms. So they worked with blood samples from volunteers with an old family chicken soup recipe from one of the doctors, and they discovered that the white blood cells formed by the presence of a viral cold infection didn't migrate to the lung area as they usually do when they have the chicken soup. And now when you put garlic in that, there's something about the garlic working with the chicken, maybe it's the chicken bones, we're not sure, that give even more of an antibiotic effect, because garlic has that particular type of property in it and of itself too. So combining those two is pretty powerful in that broth. There's something just so healing about that chicken broth.
Could we use the chicken broth as the basis for the soups that you recommend people do during their detox? So like either the colon or the watercress, could they use
Yeah.
that as a base?
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, I think that chicken broth in the watercress soup is better than just vegetable broth. I think it's richer. So I love putting chicken broth in there. And I have a recipe for chicken broth and bone broth and vegetable broth. So you can make your own stock and freeze jars of that as well. So you're ready for your soup season. We call it soup season.
Wonderful. My next question was, do you have a recipe? So the recipe for your magic chicken broth is in your souping book?
It is. And along with a whole bunch of other soups, I've got detox soups, creamy soups without the cream, and all sorts of ideas to how to make soups thick and creamy without that congesting, inflammatory causing cream. And also, I've got the broths and vegetable soup recipes. And as I said, cold soup, raw soup recipes. So a whole variety of things to get you going and keep you healthy and tantalize your taste buds. So you'll want to keep making more soup.
Very cool. I bought an immersion blender, a hand immersion blender for soups, and then I also have a magic bullet, and I also have a Vitamix, and I'm gonna play with all my kitchen tools with
Yes.
your recipes, because I think I get a different consistency from each one. So there's a lot of different tools that we can use. My trick to the best chicken soup is the best broth is bay leaves, and not just one. I know all the recipes call for one. I put in like five. I put in a bunch of bay leaves. Um, and then at the very end, when it's already done, to finish it off, I put in a bunch of fresh raw dill. And
Mm,
there's something about like lots of bay leaves, and then right at the end, so you're not overcooking the dill, right at the end, using a bunch of dill. And it's how my grandma used to make it. And it is so amazing. I could just live off of that. So now I
mm.
got to add watercress to it.
Yes. In fact, you may start wanting to add watercress to all your soups. You won't even know it's there when you've got all those other flavors. Watercress is a dominant flavor by itself. It's kind of peppery, but when you've got it in with everything else, nobody complained ever. They didn't even hardly know it was in there.
Very cool. Wonderful. Well, that sounds delicious. I can't wait. It just, the weather just changed here. It just got a little cooler, so it's just perfect time to jump into souping. Definitely going to have the links to everything you do in the show notes of today's podcast at learntoyourhealth.com, so listeners can check out your book and can check out your program that you do, this 30-day program, and get into your Facebook group. That's just wonderful. Is there anything else you'd like to share to wrap up today's interview?
Well, so often people say to me or kind of indicate like they can't believe that their health could really change, that they could really feel fabulous by doing some of these simple things. But you can and you will. And that's what happened for me years ago. I had chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia. I was so sick I couldn't work. I felt like I was dying, really. Felt like I had the flu every day of my life, like a never-ending, ongoing flu. And it was so hard. Excuse me, the smoke here is still getting to me a little bit. But anyway, it was so hard to hear doctors say, well, there's nothing that we can do about this. So I started doing my own research and ran around to some health food stores and talked with people and realized my diet was pretty bad, according to what they said, and that there might be some hope if I changed my diet, started juicing. I did a lot of soups back then too, and some smoothies. I turned my health around in 3 months. I felt like I had a brand new body, all this energy. I looked different. I looked really healthy. I was ready to go back to work. I called it a cure, started thinking I could back in some of my old habits and started feeling those awful symptoms again and realized, no, 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 this was not really the cure. This was a way of life. It was a way of living. Can simple things like this make a huge difference? Yes, they can. And I just want to give you a lot of hope. If you're listening today and thinking and wondering, oh, how could something that simple, a soup, a smoothie, some juices, how could that change my life? It really can. It can change your health and help you to realize the well-being. I used to read about well-being. What does well-being mean? Well, you'll know once you experience it. That waking up feeling good in the morning, having energy to make it through the day, sleeping well through the night, not getting headaches, not ending up with colds and flus when everybody else has got them around you. Knowing what it is to feel good day in and day out and be happy, that's my definition of well-being, and you can have it too. And it's simple things that we do every day that lead us to that place.
Wonderful. Now, for listeners who didn't hear your first interview, I loved knowing that you graduated from Bastyr University with a Master of Science in Whole Foods Nutrition, because I have such a high regard for Bastyr. It's right in my backyard. I live about 20 minutes away from Bastyr University, and of course, for those who don't know, that's where a bunch of naturopaths graduate from. Wonderful, wonderful naturopaths, and they also have other programs like the one you graduated from. And so, when you were healing yourself from fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, did you, using, this wonderful whole foods method, is that what sparked you to want to go in this direction and help others?
It is. It was so powerful for me, having gone from no hope and doctors saying there's nothing that can be done and you'll just have to live with this for the rest of your life. What a disparaging thing, to the place of feeling like I'd been given a new body and I felt like $1,000,000. It was priceless. I wanted other people to know about it and to know about this way of life. And that's what prompted me to go back and get a degree, because I thought I've got to have some initials behind my name to be a credible source, or no one's going to want to listen to me. It would be just, yeah, right, that's what you said happened to you. So that that's been my motivation all through my career, is to help other people experience what I did. And I've seen that with so many conditions. I can't even name them all or even think about all of them right now. People from all over the world have contacted me, have gotten on different programs that I offer. And you can do this anywhere in the world because everything's online. And so their lives have changed. And I always now say to people, they'll say, is there any hope for me? You're breathing, you're alive. Yes, there's hope. Because as long as you're here and you're willing to do the work, there is great hope that you can change what's going on.
Wonderful. I love that you create so much hope and inspiration and motivation for those who have been going from doctor to doctor. It was horrific to hear that for some diagnosis, like autoimmune conditions, it takes an average of seeing five different doctors before someone is correctly diagnosed with their autoimmune condition. And I don't give too much weight to a diagnosis, because it's not a life sentence. It's
Yeah.
just a collection of symptoms, but at least it gives someone a direction, because if they understand, oh, autoimmune condition, then they know from a holistic standpoint, food is the first thing we have to change to heal the body. Now, you yourself healed fibromyalgia. For those who are listening who have fibromyalgia, do you have a specific book that they should read of yours to follow what you did, or is souping a really great place to start for them as well?
Oh, souping is a wonderful place to start. I also have a book with a chapter on it, and that is in the Juice Lady's Guide to Juicing for Health. That's an A to Z guide. It's a book that's been around for a while, and it's like a desk reference. A PDF, I call it physician's desk reference, and it's got the juices, the diet, the nutrients, the lifestyle changes you can make to help that condition. And so I've got over 50 different ailments, and fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue are in there. And that is based on what I did, that program in there. And it's helped many, many, many people. So you can get rid of that pain. I know you can, and you can improve your energy, and you can heal your body from the inside out, right down to the cells. That's where it all starts. You can heal your body at the cellular level. It isn't instant. It's not like taking a drug. It takes time and effort and work and diligence and sticking with it. Although I can tell you, I've had many people say right away they started feeling better. They got on the programs that I recommend and said within a few days they noticed things happening. And I just want to mention this one thing. That was another thing with the watercress soup diet that I heard a number of ladies say within a few days pain started going. And one of my ladies, Michelle, who lost the 24 pounds, got rid of her plantar fasciitis. I think it was by the third day her pain started going away, and she'd been in terrible pain, having to wear a boot, ice her foot at night when she got home from work. And for a year, that had been going on. And within a few days, that pain was gone.
Oh, I love it. That's a direct relation between the inflammation in the body and because the pain, the inflammation is exacerbating and continuing the pain. And when you remove the inflammation, so much pain can go away. I've had that experience too, where I had a weird pain in my foot for months, and I went to see my chiropractor, my naturopath, and I didn't know what was going on. I really hoped it wasn't plantar fasciitis, although it was kind of looking like it was. And I was just going, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I'm so healthy. I eat so healthy. What's going on? And then I increased anti-inflammatory foods in my diet, and added the different ingredients I knew had anti-inflammatory properties, like cooking with more turmeric and drinking certain juices that had more anti-inflammatory properties. And all of a sudden, I woke up and walked around one day, and I wasn't limping on my sore foot, and I realized, oh my gosh, that was inflammation, and I haven't had it since. But when I stopped doing the anti-inflammatory foods, it started creeping back, and so I added them back quickly, and so I'm using that symptom as a guide. It's a great way. You let your pain be your guide. Let if it exacerbates, then look to the foods you ate. Look to that, not only the activities or the stress level, but look to the foods you ate, and look to the foods you didn't eat. And if your pain starts to subside, look to the foods you ate and look to the foods you didn't eat, and let your pain be your guide. I did that. I let my pain in my foot, and it was so bad that in the mornings was just limping. I couldn't carry my son, who at the time was an infant, in the mornings, because I was afraid I was going to fall and drop him. And so I, just by changing the foods in my diet, I got rid of that pain in my foot, and I let it be my guide. So I had to increase the anti-inflammatory healing foods in my life. So I love that you have this formula, because I was kind of, playing darts in the dark here. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try this food, I'm going to try that food, but you have a formula that works. You've proven it works. And so I'm excited to add all these wonderful methods to my life, and I look forward to hearing from the listeners who follow your protocol and see results for themselves. I know several listeners who have fibromyalgia and other conditions that you've mentioned that we're going to be really happy to learn from you. Listeners, if you know someone who has fibromyalgia, who's chronic fatigue, who has plantar fasciitis, who has those issues of thyroid, or struggling with weight, or struggling with mental fog, or struggling with inflammation in the body, if you have any friends that also blood sugar, 1 in 3 people are diabetic or pre-diabetic in the United States, those adults. And so this is a growing problem. If you know anyone in your life who has these problems, please share this episode today with them, because this information could be completely, and in fact is completely, life-changing. So much of what has been shared today could make such a huge impact on their life. So please share this episode. Let's get this information out there and help as many people as possible. It has been such a huge pleasure having you on the show today. I love what you do. And I just, you're welcome back anytime you want to come and teach us and share. You are absolutely welcome back.
Thank you. Oh, I would love to come back. Meanwhile, for everyone listening, you can connect with me at Juice Lady Cherie, and that's CHERIE.com. You can sign up for my free newsletter and get a free gift when you do that. And if you want to sign up to get the Souping is the New Juicing, I'll give you a free gift. And just go to my website and look for that, and you'll get a free gift, my ebook on the cellulite cure. And I have programs every month. As I said, I've got the Juice Fast program, the 30-day detox, and the Watercress soup diet. I'd love to have you join any one of my programs that fits for you. So here's to your health. I would raise, if you could see it, a glass of juice and toast to your good health.
Oh, watercress juice?
Yes. There you go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy what you heard today on your episode of the Learn True Health podcast. Did something move you, inspire you? Did you get great information that's going to change your life? Awesome. That's exactly what I'm here to do, is to help you gain your health back. Please turn around and share this. If this is something that's helped you in any way, share this with those you love. Love the Learn True Health podcast and want to support us? Awesome. You can go to takeyoursupplements.com and you can support us that way. You'll get access to amazing supplements that are just really great quality for a great price. And there'll be someone on the other end of the line to help you pick out your supplements that are right for you. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Or join our membership, learntruehealth.com/join. That's another great way to support our podcast, support our movement, and you'll be supporting yourself. Gain more information, wonderful videos, wonderful trainings, and you'll also be able to share those with those you love as well. So go to learntruehealth.com/join. Want something fun for free? Go to learntruehealth.com, and right there on the front page, you'll see where you can get our free cookbook. I spent a lot of time making it, and it was so much fun. It's really delicious, healthy recipes. And you can also get our 7-day doctor course. Right there, it's 7 days of naturopathic videos sent right to your inbox, and you can learn from top naturopaths on how to gain health naturally. So that's takeyoursupplements.com for wonderful supplements. learntruehealth.com/join to join our awesome membership, which is only open for a limited time. You can get our free healthy cookbook, and you can also get for free 7 days of wonderful naturopathic videos sent to you. Just go to learntruehealth.com and you'll see it right there on the front page. Thank you so much for being a listener, and thank you for sharing and helping others. Let's spread this information and turn this ripple into a tidal wave.